As a coach, you are working with people's minds and brains. So it follows that logically you ought to have a certain amount of knowledge about how these things actually work. You should already have a really good awareness of the core coaching models. Most coaches will have learnt these on their coach training programs, and they're brilliant, they're so important. And coaching with neuroscience builds on these tools, these mind frames, these skills. Coaches often ask us how they can begin coaching with neuroscience. And we always advise them to approach it with a great deal of curiosity. It's a fascinating and ever-developing field. So cover the basics now. Be curious about what you're learning and be receptive to all the ongoing discoveries in the world of neuroscience. Use online resources, but with care. Obviously, you've already made a great start by being curious enough to watch this video. And there are many other excellent articles on the subject available online. And there's plenty of great content out there too that can help develop your knowledge. The downside, the caution, is that you will have to create and navigate your own learning. There's an awful lot of information available, and making choices about where you should focus your attention isn't necessarily always straightforward. And of course, while the internet can be an excellent source of information, it can also be a vast pool of misinformation too. So we'd encourage you to proceed with caution, to just make sure that the information you're looking at comes from a reputable source and has been created by genuine experts in the field. We've got some great LinkedIn learning courses that are a good place to start. Watch out for sound bites. When you're exploring coaching with neuroscience, you also need to approach it carefully because you'll often hear really nice sound bites. This brain region does that. This brain chemical does this. But given how complex the brain is, it's obvious that simple could be misleading. Researchers, you normally think more in terms of brain networks and how they work together, and neurochemical systems causing activity. Some brain regions will have a tendency to be more involved in some mental processes than others, but you can't assign a single function or emotion to a particular brain region or chemical. It's the result of a specific pattern of activity and connectivity in a particular network of brain regions involving many different neurochemicals normally. Neuromodulator systems, such as dopamine, noradrenaline and serotonin, send their chemical-containing neurons they send it to them in a very diffuse way throughout the brain, so their effects can be widespread and interact with each other. So when you're trying to learn more about what an individual brain region or chemical does, keep in mind that it does many things. There could be several regions and several chemicals contributing to a particular function, like memory, working together to affect our thoughts, behaviours and emotions. And this is another reason why there's a really strong case for developing your knowledge by other means too, including investing in high quality information. Books, such as Neuroscience for Coaches, and then using that knowledge to influence the questions that you ask your clients and the further research that you do. Should you invest in coaching with neuroscience programs? Organisations and individuals are discerning in how they choose their coaches. If they're investing in a coach, then understandably they want the confidence to know that they're going to be working with someone who is at the top of their game. They'll likely want someone who is investing in their own development, keeping their knowledge up to date and familiarising themselves with cutting-edge insights. So a way to dig even deeper is to go into a programme that specialises in neuroscience for coaches. Increasing numbers of coaches are taking these types of courses to equip themselves with a really in-depth understanding of neuroscience. A reputable programme will provide you with a range of resources that bring your knowledge up to date and help you to find out how best to maintain it as well. Brain-based coaching in action. So what does coaching with neuroscience look like in action? In what practical ways can you start helping your clients to dig into different areas to help unlock their potential? Let's take an issue that's becoming increasingly prevalent across companies and society as a whole. Loneliness. It's a subjective experience. A person may have family, friends, colleagues around them, physically be with others, and yet still feel a sense of an absence of social connectedness. When those feelings are prolonged, it creates chronic loneliness. And from what we know of the brain, it can have a big impact on individuals. Studies from UCL Institute of Cognitive Neuroscience indicate there's a neurobiological basis for loneliness. Brain scans revealed that lonely people had less grey matter in a particular region of the brain, the left posterior superior temporal sulcus, if you're interested, which is an area implicated in basic social perception, providing some insight into the correlation between what's happening in our lives and the plastic nature of our responding brain. Through training, people may be able to improve their social perception and become less lonely. A classic experiment that I've been talking about for many years because it's a brilliant one highlights the effect of social pain on the brain. Individuals were scanned while they were playing a virtual ball-throwing game with others, or so they thought, and after a while they were slowly excluded, while the other people they were playing with kept throwing the ball between themselves. The dorsal anterior cingulate cortex was activated more when they were excluded. It's a similar brain response to when someone is in physical pain. Now, it's much more complex than that. The right ventral prefrontal cortex was also active during exclusion, and the more it was activated, the less distress people reported. Taken together, this is one of the pieces of evidence that suggests that the PFC is involved in regulating distress by disrupting the ACC activity. Just one of many, many studies, the tip of the iceberg. But the insights that they give us help us with the types of activities we can engage clients in. Alongside using practical tools like the UCLA Loneliness Scale Test, you can explore specific ways your clients are thinking and identify interventions that could help to protect against loneliness, such as supporting them in improving their social perceptiveness. You can work with clients to identify any undesirable behaviours and explore whether increasing social connectedness would help, for example, and draw up a plan accordingly. There's so much that you can draw from neuroscience that can help you in your work with whatever topic someone brings to you. If you're interested in finding out more about coaching with neuroscience, then please visit our dedicated website to learn more. And if you would like details of our synaptic potential certification for coaches, then please do contact us. If you're thinking about developing these skills within your own organisation, you might find that our Coach Savvy Manager program is of interest, and we'd love to share more information about that with you too.